What's going on there, buddy?
Good evening, everybody. We'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Diversity Committee's Governance Committee, date Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can we have a brief roll call?
I guess I'll handle that. Does Jenny Ray Clay?
Here, thank you.
Vera Gordon?
Here.
Andrew Beeman?
Here.
Marguerite Hayward? And the committee chair, Isaiah Diaz.
Here, and co-chair Andrew Beeman is also.
Sorry, co-chair Andrew Beeman, I apologize.
It's okay.
Okay, everyone is here with the exception of Margaret. But you do have a
Excellent.
quorum.
Fantastic. So that being said, I'd like to next do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to constructively try to stand. I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay, that being said, let's get to the nitty gritty. Did everybody receive a copy of the proposed committee assignments?
I did.
All right. Sabira, did you receive a copy? I know she's doing the soccer game thing.
I think so. Yeah, sorry. I was just looking for I think so. I'll double check.
Okay.
I believe I do.
All right. So everybody circulated an email, and I'm just going to share the screen here. Oops. Can the host, can you give me screen sharing privileges, please? Spectacular. Thank you. Okay, so what can everyone see this?
Yes.
All right, you know what, let me do this so that way it's just more up in our face a little bit. Okay. So after the last governance committee meeting, after the last general committee meeting, everybody was asked to circulate their board preferences from first to least. Mine was law enforcement and criminal justice. Dr. Verna Ruffin's was education. Amari Brantley's was education. President Clay President Ray Clay. Aside from the governance, economic and housing was #1 and public health was #2. Cherry Lamb was law enforcement, and I thought that was key considering her background. Co-chair Andrew Beeman picked economic and housing opportunities. Jim O'Rourke picked educational success. Attorney Mosley was gracious enough to make himself a wild card so we could put him wherever we needed him. Sabira chose education first. Jalea West, public health. Pastor Reese, education, and Pastor Castellano took law enforcement. Because of the change in the schedule, he can't attend the at-large meetings because he conducts a church service on Wednesdays, but he is able to partake in the subcommittee work. So I figured, hey, if you're still willing to serve, let's do it. So based on everyone's preferences, what we did first was we placed everybody where their first option was, and then we had to backfill. So for the law enforcement, myself and Pastor Angel and Cherry Lamb, that was first. Co-chair Andrew Beeman reached out to Margaret B, and she also wanted to be on law enforcement. Jackie Davis was a name I got from Madam Co-chair Althea Brooks, but you did bring up a good point, Jenny, in that she's technically not a board member yet, so we have to figure out how we replace board members. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yes. Actually, Margaret asked to be on economic and housing.
Oh, okay. I goofed that one then. Okay. All right. So she has to be on economics. So what I'm gonna do for now, move this around. All right.
Swap it with Sean Mosley if he said he was your wild card.
What's up?
If you swapped her with Sean Mosley, he's your wild card, and he's also a police commissioner, so it'd be good if he's on the police.
Ah, perfect.
Is there any kind of conflict with that, with him being a commissioner and representing the diversity committee? I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just asking if they're in his responsibility as a commissioner, whatever. I don't know if they swear them in to do something. Just making sure that there is no conflict.
It doesn't seem like a conflict. That's something I could address with him. But I like the sound of people that are essentially close to the police. That it's also helpful. Like Cherry Lamb, for example, is in charge of recruiting.
Yep.
And I mean, that's like golden. Like we can create new criteria for recruiting, like certain degree of education, maybe certain type of psychological exam, stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
But we can.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted to, when people are sworn onto boards, like I don't think we ever got sworn in. I think we were kind of appointed or offered and asked and accepted. So, like I said, I don't know what when you're sworn in as a commissioner, what that says. But like I said, it's not a problem for me.
Sure. With regard to Jackie Davis, that was a name I got from Madam Co-Chair Althea Brooks. We do have to discuss tonight what we're going to do about the vacancies. So maybe this is one way to deal with it. And for now, this roster is tentative. We can always switch it around. For education, we have Dr. Ruffin, Jim O'Rourke, Sabira Gordon, Pastor Reese, and Amari Brantley. For economic and housing, one of the reasons why I wanted Attorney Mosley on the housing part is because he was pretty passionate about having a housing component, but we need to have enough, I guess, a strong showing on the law enforcement, I would say. So we originally had 18 people, which would have forced us to have 5 and 5 and 4 and 4. And so our original rationale was, I think 5 for law enforcement is important, as well as education and economic and housing. I mean, 5 for all of them is important, but we just don't have the bodies yet. So we have, for economic and housing, we have Madam President, Co-Chair Andrew Beeman, David Morgan, Jenny Fonseca, and Margaret B. And then for public health, we had to put together some people because only one person made public health a priority. So Althea Brooks agreed to serve in that role, and we placed Albana Lame and Pastor Hobson there as well. We figured Pastor Hobson will be a good choice because he didn't pick a preference, and he's also running that COVID project with the Wheeler Clinic. So I thought that would be right up his wheelhouse, since he's taking care of the public health right now, so to speak, and actually in many ways, spiritually, physically, all of that. So that was our initial slate. Any thoughts?
Just one for me. So my name is not spelled correctly.
Oops, sorry.
Okay.
What'd I mess up?
Take out the second I, so it's Ginne, and it's a hyphen Ray. So my name is Ginny Ray. Yeah, and my last name is Clay. There you go.
Oops, I got other people calling me. I apologize that I'm still at the office, but the grind never ceases. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I apologize about that. One thing I'm not good at is I'm great with faces, terrible with names.
That's
so.
okay, don't worry. My name is spelled that way more often than the correct way, so
Oh,
I
I
should
see.
just legally have it changed, make it easier on everybody.
Well, trust me, Isaias, I don't even bother trying to correct people. I just, whatever you figure out. Yeah. So, so any other thoughts about our initial slate?
I think
Looks
it
good.
Good.
All right. Okay, so can I get a motion that we present this subcommittee roster to the general board for approval at the next meeting?
I make the
Yes.
motion.
Second?
Go. I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Great. All right, motion passes.
Opposed?
No, I don't think we have any opposition.
No. All
I
right.
like the sound of that. All right, great. So that we have our roster. Next thing that we need to discuss, which Sabira will be key in, is how we're going to go about gathering the data. Sabira, are you able to talk?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Well, I know you did a lot of commission work with Warner, like I did in the past. And I was thinking maybe a good way to gather the data is we can kind of use that results-based accountability format.
Yeah, so I have like at least for education, I have like everything broken down already for Waterbury that I can share with the education committee, like all the benchmarks that are collected by the State Department of Education. And then I think, yeah, I agree we should use RBA as the format for everything. Given that, like, I guess this is a question I'd had early on, like, given that, like, we're a commission under the mayor, we should easily be able to access information, right? Is that going to be a heavy lift?
I don't think it'll be a heavy lift. Plus, there's a lot of statewide agencies that collect data per city, depending on what the topic is.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure they'd be an open book with regard to sharing the information. But I think we need to come up with, I'm not sure if it's our responsibility to give them, to give all the subcommittees kind of like a framework to work out of, but I figured I think we probably should, so that we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
I can put something together if that would be helpful for you.
I think it would be helpful
Garrett.
because the data that I have on RBA is more than 10 years old.
Okay.
Because
I'll get it something.
Yeah, because I haven't, let's see, I retired from the commission. I want to say, well, I had the plaque up. Anyway, it's been a long time. And in case things have changed a little bit, I think it might be good if maybe you could circulate that amongst the members of the governance committee.
Yep. Can you just send me an email to remind me that I need to do that?
Sure.
I don't have my notebook where I keep track of everything I'm supposed to do.
No problem. I can do that. Do we have any other discussion?
Ginny Ray, you're on mute.
Sorry. Mr. Chair, you are sharing your screen, so you do have your email open to everyone to see.
Whoops. As you can see, I got a lot of emails to respond to after this. All right. Okay. So the last thing on our agenda is all right, let's see. Is essentially a discussion on defining the subcommittees, which is why I think that the like the results-based accountability format might be helpful. In that it's what the state uses as well to target certain areas and try to come up with solutions to problems Did anyone have anyone want to contribute to that?
You're asking about how we think the subcommittee should be defined?
Yeah, essentially, like, because we have to be policy makers, but that can be kind of broad to figure out.
Well, I thought we had said that we would get the committees together and have those committee members probably have their first initial meeting and discuss what those committees would like to cover, what they think the issues are, or how they want to collect data to decide what they're going to look at, and then make a proposal to the entire committee, as well as decide who's going to be their chair and their co-chair.
Okay. Well, at the very least, we definitely need chair and co-chairs of each subcommittee. So
Yeah.
I'm probably getting too ahead of myself.
No, I think you have to look forward in that way. What I would also suggest is that that you, Mr. Chair, maybe, or I don't know if the chair and the co-chairs of the whole committee would appoint a temporary lead, not call them the chair or the co-chair, but appoint a temporary lead to get the ball rolling. So somebody's going to have to, head up the first meeting with all the parties. And I don't know if we're going to have to contact, each member, welcome them, and then say, what's a convenient time to meet. And then, so somebody's got to do that. And it should be somebody on that committee, so you're not overwhelming anyone else or other folks. That's just a suggestion to get it moving.
No, I think that's a great idea. I guess my only question would be, one, I guess who's willing to do it, would be willing to do it. But I think you're right. I think we do need somebody to, at the very least, start.
Yeah, that has the resources, or put them in touch. So let's just say somebody from, I don't know, let's say public housing. Maybe it looks like there's somebody up here who has access to a Zoom, so that we need each committee needs access to a Zoom to get going. So who is the person that would help set that up?
Well, we have two of the people here on the on that subcommittee. Speaking of housing,
Yeah, I mean, I have my NAACP Zoom, which I'm happy to get started on that.
okay,
That would not be a problem. I volunteer to get that going.
all right,
It's my understanding, Mr. Chairman, if
yes,
you're a subcommittee under a committee assigned by the mayor, then the same way that these committee meetings are set up, they should be scheduled the same way, I believe. I know Desiree's on the line. Desiree, I hope I'm not over speaking, but I believe they would be scheduled the same way through the city Zoom, since you are a city committee.
well,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Mac to Mac. I was going to say, and I'm sorry, I'm not on video right now. I'm switching back and forth between DPH and the diversity committee. But yeah, the city is happy to assist, given the fact that those subcommittees will still be, they'll still need to adhere to the public meeting requirements. And just a suggestion, perhaps at the next committee meeting as a whole, when they move to adopt the suggested subcommittees, maybe there's discussion, amongst the committee as a whole and the individuals on the subcommittees as to who could be that lead for each subcommittee.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I do want to make sure I'm clear on something. I thought that based on Attorney Wibby's presentation, that the committee at large had to do the public Zoom thing, but the subcommittees didn't have to be on Zoom or like on YouTube, so long as someone kept minutes. Am I wrong on that?
That's why I'd be happy to clarify for you, sir.
Yeah, that'd be great, because if I want to make sure we're not doing anything wrong, that's the last thing we need. So if everything's got to be on Zoom, that's fine by me. So
But having it on Zoom and having it on YouTube are two separate things. So we would still be able to facilitate the Zoom meetings as part of the subcommittees. And then once Mac checks for clarification regarding the requirements to have it on Zoom for the subcommittee. That's two separate issues. But in regards to your first question on who would facilitate and arrange the Zoom meetings, you'll be able to use the city's setup the same way this is being done, I believe. I hope that's my understanding, how other subcommittees work.
That's
I
fine.
hope so. That makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, just putting it out there, I'm not on the committee, and this is just speaking of that, your subcommittee members have already been assigned to these various, the governance committee meeting members have been assigned to these various subcommittees. So in the beginning, that may be a good suggestion to lead the groups are the members that have put these categories together. Thank you.
Hi, Francine. Haven't seen you in a while. Sorry about that, guys.
Hiding out, but now you know where I am. So
So I
So,
think,
question.
yes.
So, who do we connect with to verify if the city will be setting up the Zoom calls? Because I mean, since it doesn't matter, you know, whether this is going to be public or not, because regardless of if this is going to be on YouTube or not, we still need to know who's setting up the Zoom meetings.
So the same way that, this is Desiree speaking, that I've been kind of facilitating the Zooms for the diversity committee at large and the subcommittee, this governance subcommittee, is the same way that we can communicate to oversee and kind of facilitate any of those future Zooms for the other subcommittees listed.
Okay, thank you. So we can consider it confirmed. We'll be using Waterbury Zoom.
That's
Yes.
probably best. So no one kind of commandeers their own, you know, with their own equipment or own Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
All right, so I think at this point then, if we have to submit the subcommittee rosters for discussion and have a discussion about who's going to be the temporary lead of the subcommittees, I think our work is pretty much done until after our next general meeting. Sounds good.
We'll wait for, when we go to our general meeting, we'll wait for volunteers to be the lead, or we'll ask people to be the lead. We'll make a recommendation.
That's a good question. Because some of the subcommittees don't have governance committee members on them and some have multiple. So for example, on the law enforcement, it's myself, Pastor Angel, Cherry Lamb, and for now, Sean Mosley. Although I do got to talk to him and make sure it's not a conflict. And Jackie Davis is not a board member yet. So I don't think we could officially appoint her until she becomes a board member, but she'd be a potential replacement. So I guess I could chair the first meeting and then after that pass it off to somebody else, because I don't want to have to wear too many hats.
And same with education. Like, I'm happy to chair the first meeting and then like figure out who wants to do it from the subcommittee, if that works. I don't want to necessarily take it over, but I'll do the first meeting, and then we can see what happens from there on.
Sounds good. All right. So that's 2. And then for economics and housing, Madam President or Mr. Beeman, one of you?
I'm happy to do it.
Okay. All right. And then on public health, we have Madam Co-Chair on it. Maybe we could have her as the temporary lead. And we'll recommend that just, for now. And then if, and then afterwards, after discussion at the general meeting, we can see if we can get some other people involved in sharing things. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll circulate the subcommittee rosters. I did have a question though. So Althea Madam Co-Chair recommended Jackie Davis for one of the subcommittees, but I wasn't sure if officially we can include her until she became a committee member, a diversity committee member.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I do believe that Jackie is a member in the sense that I know that the mayor really thought it was important that Dr. Ruffin was on the committee, but that in the event that Dr. Ruffin had scheduling conflicts that wouldn't allow her to attend, she had a capable surrogate that could attend. So we can have her officially added. I do believe that the initial intent was to have her as a member of the committee, especially in the instance that Dr. Ruffin needed a surrogate.
Okay. All right. Well, then, so I'm going to feel comfortable then leaving her there. And then if there's any, so what would be the process to fill the other remaining vacancies?
So I think that it would be a great discussion topic with the committee. I know that the committee itself was initially formed based off of a call for folks who were interested in joining the subcommittee, and then the mayor worked with the co-chairs to define the membership. So I think that if the committee had new nominees on an ongoing basis, to present to the mayor, I think that's something that you could do.
Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll have to make that an agenda item for the next general meeting. But we have our subcommittees, we have our initial rosters, and we have our temporary leaders. I think we're cooking with gas.
We're definitely cooking with gas. I do have a comment. So if Jackie Davis is going to be on the committee, she's on the committee. If she is going to be the superintendent surrogate, then she's the superintendent's surrogate. I don't think she can fill both, especially if there's two separate committees. So you have Jackie on the law enforcement committee. And if she's on the committee, fine. That's great. She's very capable. But I don't know that, and Mac, maybe you can clarify that I don't think she can be both. The superintendent's fill in and on her own.
Okay, yeah, maybe surrogate wasn't. I can clarify that with Dr. Ruffin. Maybe surrogate wasn't the right word. Maybe a better way to describe it would have been another impactful voice from the city of Waterbury's Department of Education. I think, as you referenced, Jackie is incredibly capable and, brings her own skill set to the table, separate and aside than being the assistant of Dr. Ruffin.
Right.
So I can talk, I'll speak with Dr. Ruffin and try and clear that up. And I can make sure to loop back.
Okay. And then just one other comment about, so I see that we had 12 people respond. How many people are on the diversity committee in total?
18.
And then did we have some folks drop off?
Yes.
So did we have 6 people drop off to bring us down to 12?
I believe 4 people dropped off.
So
No,
what you're
8.
looking at, I'm sorry to interrupt. What you're looking at is 12 responses that were received back in terms of what preferences were. So you have the 18 members still. There are just 6 people who didn't respond with preferences.
Okay.
No,
So
but
then
I
we
mean, I
don't-
thought that we were initially 22 or a larger
Right.
number.
So that number, you're correct in saying that for people are no longer, but in reference to the 12 that she's listing on the page that we're looking at, that just clarifying that for Jenny Ray is that there are 18 members, only 12 responded with their preferences. So there's still 18 at whole.
Okay. And I think, Mr. Chair, that you may want to have a conversation with the co-chairs to determine replacement of people, or who's on or who's off, or to get a clarification of what the committee actually looks like now. I don't know if people have dropped off or have changed their mind. And I thought at one time we were thinking that 22 was kind of a large number, and maybe we don't replace, or if it's already in sort of the charter that it's 22, then see what the charter says. But I think that's the conversation that the co-chairs need to bring to the larger group.
While we got Mac on the line, do you know the answer to that, Mac? If the number has been added to the charter, or?
No, I don't. There was no number associated with the committee. I think in part because of its inherent nature as an advisory committee. So I think there's flexibility in terms of the numbers that can be on. I know that a component of the conversation was what size committee would be most useful in terms of being able to manage the human capital at hand.
Yeah.
And so maybe we don't need 22, but 20 would be nice. So we could have 5 on each subcommittee. It's food for thought, I guess.
Definitely.
But that's a conversation to be had with the co-chairs. But I agree. I think that's a great point. I have to have a conversation with Pastor Reese and with Althea as well.
Right.
So that we can.
And they may ask the governance committee to come back with, because that's our job as a governance committee. It's our job to come up with policy for the entire, or make recommendation to the entire committee. So they may ask us to think it through and come back with a recommendation or points for discussion.
Well, I have an odd one kicking around in my head right now, but what I liked about 22 was we could have 5 on each subcommittee, and then the 2 co-chairs to kind of keep an eye on all of it. But you know, I'm just thinking out loud, I guess.
Yeah. I think when people initially heard that there were that many people, they were like, whoa, that's a lot of people. But when you break it down to the 4 subcommittees that we have, it makes absolute sense. I think it becomes manageable.
Yes, and the work is always plentiful, but the workers are always few. I think everybody on this call could say, I'm on 4 other boards, you know, so having a team is always nice.
Yeah.
Well, that being said,
I like proposing that idea to the larger group. The one that you mentioned, having five as the standard amount for each committee. I think that's worth suggesting on the next call.
okay. All right.
Or voting on within this group with whatever the proper procedure is.
So perhaps maybe we should run it by the co-chairs first, just to get their thoughts on it. Or do you think we should just go for it?
I would say go for it, but
I mean, it's just a recommendation. So I just like we spent a lot of time the last subcommittee meeting, governance committee meeting, and when we presented it to the group at large, everyone had an opportunity to contribute. So I think it might be a good idea that we make that recommendation, and then we have our temporary leaders, and once that's established, we can go from there.
I like it. I agree.
And Mac, I just have one question for you if you're there.
Yes,
so
sir.
In the event that everybody agrees on, 20 members and 2 co-chairs, so 22 total, what would be the process to fill the vacancies? Do you have any ideas or?
Yeah, my thought would be to send a letter to the mayor, citing vacancies that have originated out of the original composition of the committee, and then make an ask, to appoint additional members to complete the committee at 22, inclusive of the co-chairs. And then if you have names of individuals that you'd like to submit for his consideration, I think that can be done in a letter.
Okay, great. So then what we could do is after the next general meeting, if everyone agrees on the number being 22, then we can write a letter. Afterwards, we can write a letter to the mayor requesting that the vacancies be filled. And that gives me time to have a conversation with our 2 co-chairs, just to get their thoughts on what they think that the committee should look like. But I think 22 is is good. 5 on each subcommittee and then two co-chairs.
Can
Any
I
thoughts?
ask
Yes.
Mac a question? This is a question for Mac. Were there people who expressed interest? Like, is there like a wait list of like people that wanted to be on but just came in too late or was asked too late that's already sitting there? Or do we need to start from scratch with trying to fill
there's a spreadsheet that we compiled as we were intaking folks' interest, and could definitely provide those names.
That would be a big help, actually. Because then we already know people are willing to serve.
Right.
Writing that down in my notes.
So just a note, so the boards that I serve on, there is a nominating committee. And that nominating committee's responsibility is to make recommendations to whomever the appointing authority is for vacancy fills. So if there's a list, and like I said, it doesn't have to be this way, but just on the boards that I serve on. So if there's a list of people who have expressed an interest, that list would go to the nominating committee. The nominating committee would review and vet, not really vet, but kind of review the names and whatever attachments, if it's a resume or a bio, and then decide that these folks sound good, we know of them, we know their work, we think they would be a good fit for this committee, and then send the recommendation back to, I guess it would be the mayor at this point to make the appointment. I don't think we have a nominating committee though.
We don't, but what we could do at the next meeting at large is inquire as to anyone would be interested in serving on that, and then create an ad hoc committee for that until the board is full. That's one possibility. Or we can comprise another nominating committee comprised of members who are already on the existing subcommittees. We maybe could do it that way as well.
Yeah, the chairs of the subcommittees make up the nominating committee.
That's a great idea. That's why you're Madam President. I'm not. That's really good, actually. Okay. All right, so we have our team, we have our temporary leaders that we're going to propose at the next meeting. I can do that in the subcommittee, in the governance committee's report. And at that point, we can also bring up the idea of having the chairs of the subcommittees also comprising the nominating committee, so we could fill the vacancies. But I think that's about as much as we can get accomplished for now until we get the final slate of the subcommittee approved.
Okay.
Thoughts? You're muted. Oh, there we go.
We're good.
Okay. All right. Well, that being said, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
Is that a second?
Second.
All right. Great work, everybody. We'll see you in Zoom world soon. You guys all be safe.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Good night. Thanks.
Good night.